It just seemed like from start to finish, you guys were in pretty good control there. I mean, what is it about this team that's starting to come together?
Guys are playing hard, just in general, and we've had that with our group. We've navigated through some injuries, through some illnesses, and then some personal circumstances that were unforeseen. And in a lot of cases, we've had guys step up. We know we've gone through a rough patch, and I said it earlier, but you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot about team, and then you learn a lot about individuals and how you handle those situations. And I think we're playing good basketball at the moment. There's a lot of things we can improve upon that we actually did just talk about as a team in there. The not being satisfied mindset. If a young team can grasp that early, then you're ahead of the curve. So we have a lot of things we got to improve upon.
You talked before the game about rebounding. If you look at the balance, you had about 8 guys with at least 3, and as you got so many second chance points, you had to be happy with that. Yeah,
we were happy with it, and I was really happy with Cove on the defensive end, especially, because right before the game, we did our walkthrough. We went through 3 free throw box outs that we missed last night that ended up leading to 7 points, and then a couple offensive rebounds from their wing players that we went over early in the game that led to baskets or good looks for Milwaukee. And in a one possession game, you look at those types of situations that you can control, and I think that it's a big credit to Cove. I think he took a lot of that upon himself tonight by getting to those areas that we knew with long shots, long rebounds were going to occur.
Ryan, do you find with kind of the young guys who are coming up here, and I mean, whether they're trying to make a name for themselves or whatever, do you find that there's a little more adherence to the system, I guess, and just them trying to be as responsible as they can with what you're trying to do from a system standpoint?
I don't know if I want to compare, within that. If these guys are adhering more to the system than these guys, but a lot of times, especially young rookies, and young guys, they're for right or wrong, they don't know any better, and they know that, hey, for me to I got to do everything right. I don't necessarily have the veteran savvy or the raw talent in a lot of ways that a lot of these guys who have been in the league for a number of years, or the physical tools. I got to do everything coach asks of me, and that the system asks of me to be productive. And I think our group for the most part has done that this year. Obviously you have some games where are better than others, but I think these young guys are really adhering to what we're doing, and I look forward to getting healthy bodies back and having those guys adhere to everything as well.
You look at the young guys, and even some of the veteran guys that are kind of trying to get more time. Does that show up most with energy and defense, do you think?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about defense over the last few weeks here, and we went through a stretch where we were very it was unacceptable defensively, and we knew that, and these guys, the players, understood what was at stake, and we made it very clear that you defend, you play hard, your minutes will increase.
For most of the season, Shabazz wasn't able to shoot well for whatever reason, and that maybe constricted what he could do in terms of his decision making. But it does seem like the fact that your point guard is making quick decisions makes a huge difference in both transition defense even. I mean, just getting a sense of pace going. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's absolutely accurate. And in a way, within our system, everything starts out, for the most part, everything starts out by 5-out alignment, and if we can shave off a second or a second and a half of time, where the point guard doesn't have to look to me to make a call. I trust these guys. We spend a lot of time together, where they can be an extension of what we want to do out there, and Shabazz is doing a great job of that right now, where he's able to call. He understood, in a couple of situations, the ball needed to change sides of the floor. It needed to be played. We needed to play with the pass, so he went to an action we have in the fourth quarter that made the ball change sides of the floor 3 times. We got a good look out of it, and I say it a number of times, as long as the process is correct, especially offensively in games, we can live with the outcome.
As a coach, how satisfying is it when you're on the second night of back-to-back, the other team has a little bit of a rest advantage, and there's really no question from the opening tip that your guys had more energy tonight?
Yeah, I mean, it's as a coach, I don't know if you're ever satisfied. There's always work to be done, and there's always things that you need to improve upon. But when it comes to energy and being engaged, that's a big positive for us on the second night of a back-to-back, and I think that the fans in the last couple of games have helped us a lot too, especially early on. And I know they appreciate how hard these guys are playing right now and how together they're playing. And so I think that's something that's helped pull us through some too.
Ryan, during that rough defensive stretch, you said that the main thing, and the one thing, if you could make a change, was physicality from your wings there. It seems to be something you rectified. If you could look at that now on the other side of the ball, if you're unsatisfied, or not, you're never satisfied.
Yeah, I gotcha.
What would be the one thing offensively that you would want to change?
I'd like to continue to, we had 15 assists in the first half. We ended up with 7 in the second half. I'd like to keep that going for a whole game where, we're moving the ball we're moving the ball with the pass, as opposed to feeling like we need to get into a pick and roll action, or feeling like we need to get into, all isolation or dribble penetration with things. Because when we can play with the pass and we get into the paint, we say drive, pass. So when you get in the paint, if you kick out, the second pass out, a lot of times you're going to get an open 3, and we work on that a lot. And it's going to take time for us to really, I think, grasp all of that. And I will say, I think Golden State's a good, it's a good example. The things that they've done, with different guys, they're trying to do those still, and they're sticking to that system. So they're a good example of that.
Ryan, we've seen some really good stuff from Reed and Martin lately. Does that kind of speak to how valuable the Iowa Wolves are to this organization, and just kind of a testament to the development that's happening down there?
And I've said the last two games, so I guess I'll give him more credit. But Sam Newman-Beck and his staff in Iowa, and Gianluca Pascucci, who's in our front office here, the work that they're doing with that group and integrating and making it a seamless transition, even with the travel. I mean, this is our 3rd straight game where we've had a guy fly in and come straight to the arena and play double-digit minutes, and to that. Within that, you may go over some, key teaching points and things that we're looking for within philosophically when that guy gets here. But for the most part, they're running everything that we run, and to have that transition has been it's been very nice. Now, it's not always going to be perfect, but we see, especially over this last week, and it's a smaller sample size, but it's growing. That it's a good thing for us.